The alarm screamed through Taehyun's small ship. He jerked awake from his rest, eyes snapping to the console. Red lights flashed across the control panel. Someone was sending a distress signal. Taehyun rubbed his face and stared at the screen. He was 3 days into a solo mining run in the asteroid belt. Out here, distress signals usually meant trouble. Pirates loved to use fake signals to lure in rescue ships. But this signal looked real. The code was Imperial Valdris, and those signals were hard to fake. He ran his hand through his dark hair and thought about ignoring it. That would be the smart thing to do. He worked alone for a reason. Getting involved with other people only brought pain. He had learned that lesson 5 years ago when his whole crew died because of his mistake. But the signal kept pulsing. Someone needed help. Taehyun cursed under his breath and changed course. His ship, the Wanderer, turned toward the signal source. It would take 30 minutes to reach it. He used that time to check his weapons. He had 2 plasma pistols and 1 old rifle. Not much, but better than nothing. When he arrived, his stomach dropped. A luxury vessel floated dead in space, its hull torn open in several places. 3 raider ships surrounded it like sharks around prey. Taehyun recognized the design. Krill raiders. They were the worst kind of criminals in this sector. He should leave. Right now, this was not his fight, but then he saw the small escape pod attached to the damaged vessel. The raiders were cutting into it with plasma torches. Someone was trapped inside, and the raiders were about to break through. Taehyun made his decision. He powered up his weapons and flew closer, keeping his ship small and quiet. The raiders were focused on the pod. They did not notice him yet. He targeted the nearest raider ship and fired. His missiles hit the engine section. The ship exploded in a bright flash. Now the other raiders saw him. They turned their weapons toward him. Taehyun did not fight them directly. He was not stupid. Instead, he flew toward the damaged luxury vessel. His fingers danced over the controls. He fired at the fuel cells on the bigger ship. They exploded one after another, creating a chain reaction of fire and debris. The raiders scattered to avoid the explosions. In that moment of chaos, Taehyun activated his magnetic grapples. The metal claws shot out and grabbed the escape pod. He pulled it toward his ship while flying away at full speed. Plasma bolts streaked past him. One hit his shield, making the whole ship shake. Alarms screamed again. His shield was down to 30%. Another hit like that and he would be dead. He pushed the engines harder. The Wanderer was not a warship, but she was fast. Taehyun had modified her himself over the years. He knew every circuit and every system. The ship responded to his commands like an extension of his own body. More plasma bolts came. Taehyun jerked the controls left, then right, then up. The pod swung wildly on the grapple line, but it held. He flew into the densest part of the asteroid field. The raiders followed. This was his territory. He knew these asteroids. The raiders did not. Taehyun flew between 2 massive rocks with barely a meter of clearance on each side. Behind him, 1 raider ship tried to follow. It clipped a rock and spun out of control, crashing into another asteroid. The last raider was smarter. It stayed back and kept firing. But Taehyun had a plan. He flew toward a large asteroid and waited until the last second. Then he cut his engines and used his maneuvering thrusters to flip the ship around. The raider flew past him, confused. Taehyun fired everything he had. His missiles and plasma cannons hit the raider's rear section. The ship exploded. Silence. Taehyun took a deep breath. His hands were shaking. He was covered in sweat, but he was alive, and so was whoever was in that pod. He carefully brought the pod into his cargo bay and sealed it. Then he went down to check on the survivors. The pod was expensive, made of reinforced metal with gold decorations. Definitely not a normal escape pod. He knocked on the pod door. "Hello, you are safe now." "I am opening the door." There was a pause. Then a voice came through the speaker. It was female and young, but it sounded cold and commanding. "Who are you?" "Identify yourself immediately." "My name is Taehyun. I am a salvage operator. I got your distress signal and pulled you out. The raiders are gone." Another pause. "How do we know you are not working with them?" Taehyun sighed. "If I was working with them, you would be dead already. I am opening the door now." He overrode the pod's lock system. It was easy for him. The door hissed open. 2 figures stepped out. Taehyun stared. They were both female, definitely alien, but surprisingly human-like. Their skin had a slight blue tint, and their eyes were larger than human eyes with golden irises. They wore torn but clearly expensive clothes. One looked about 18, the other maybe 16. Both were beautiful and looked terrified despite trying to appear brave. The older one stepped forward. She held a small energy blade in her hand, pointed at Taehyun. "Stay back." "Who sent you?" Taehyun raised his hands. "Nobody sent me. I already told you. I heard your distress signal and came to help." The younger girl touched her sister's arm. "Harin, look at him. He is human. The raiders were Krill. He is not with them." Harin did not lower her blade. "That means nothing. Humans work as mercenaries." Taehyun was getting annoyed. "Listen, I just saved your lives and nearly died doing it. My ship is damaged, my shields are down, and I used half my ammunition. If you want to stab me with that tiny knife, go ahead, but at least wait until I get us somewhere safe." The younger girl actually smiled a little. She had a kind face despite the fear in her eyes. "He has a point, Harin." Harin finally lowered the blade slightly. "You truly came just because of our signal?" "Yes, why?" Taehyun shrugged. "Because someone needed help." The two girls looked at each other. Something passed between them. Then the younger one stepped forward and bowed her head slightly. "Thank you for saving us. My name is Dayun. This is my sister, Harin. We are very grateful." Taehyun nodded. "You are welcome. Now can you tell me where you need to go?" "I need to set a course before those raiders send reinforcements." Harin and Daun exchanged another look. Then Harin spoke, her voice quiet. "We need to reach Valdris space. The nearest Imperial port is Port Helion." "Port Helion is 3 days from here," Taehyun said. "That is a long trip. Can your ship make it?" Daun asked. "Yes, but I need to know something first." "Who are you, really?" "That pod is worth more than my entire ship. Your clothes are expensive, and you speak with authority. You are not normal civilians." Harin straightened her back. She suddenly looked very royal and proud. "You are correct. We are not civilians. I am Princess Harin, and this is Princess Dayun. We are the daughters of Empress Yu-jin, ruler of the Valdris Empire." Taehyun's eyes went wide. His mouth opened, but no words came out. He had just rescued alien princesses. He had just gotten involved in imperial politics. This was exactly the kind of trouble he tried to avoid. "Oh no," he finally said. "Oh no, no, no," Daeun tilted her head. "Is something wrong?" "Everything is wrong," Taehyun said. "Do you know how much trouble I am in now? Your empire is going to think I kidnapped you, or those raiders will come after me for revenge, or your enemies will try to kill me to cover their tracks." Harin's expression softened slightly. "None of that will happen. When you bring us home safely, our mother will reward you greatly. You will have wealth beyond imagination." "I do not want wealth," Taehyun said. "I just want a quiet life." "Then our mother will give you that too," Daun said gently. "Please, Taehyun. We have no one else. Our escort was destroyed. We do not know who to trust." "Will you help us?" Taehyun looked at their faces. Despite their royal blood, they were just scared girls who had almost died. He thought about leaving them at the nearest station, but he knew they would not be safe there. Whoever had attacked them would try again. He sighed deeply. "Fine, I will take you to Port Helion, but you both need to follow my rules on my ship." "Understood?" Both princesses nodded. "Good. Now sit down and strap in. We are leaving before more trouble arrives." As Taehyun walked back to the cockpit, he wondered what he had just gotten himself into. He had spent 5 years avoiding people in trouble. Now he had both in the form of 2 alien princesses. His quiet life was officially over. The first day was awkward. Harin and Daun sat quietly in the passenger section, while Taehyun worked on repairs. His ship had taken damage during the fight with the raiders. The shield generator needed fixing and several systems were running on backup power. Taehyun worked in silence. He was used to being alone. Having 2 other people on his ship felt strange. He could hear them whispering to each other in their own language. Sometimes they would go quiet when he walked past. By the second day, things started to change. Daun came to the engine room where Taehyun was working. She stood in the doorway and watched him for a while. "Can I help you?" Taehyun asked without looking up from the power coupling he was repairing. "What are you doing?" Daeun asked. "Fixing the secondary power system. The raiders damaged it." "Why are you doing it yourself? Do you not have repair drones?" Taehyun glanced at her. "Repair drones are expensive. I do all my own work." Daeun came closer, her golden eyes curious. "That is unusual. In our empire, nobles never do physical work. They have servants for that. I am not a noble." I'm just a salvage operator. If I want something done right, I do it myself. May I watch? Dayun asked. Taehyun shrugged. Sure. She sat down on a cargo box and watched him work. After a while, she started asking questions. Where did he learn to repair ships? How did he become a salvage operator? Why did he work alone? Taehyun answered briefly at first. But Da-eun was easy to talk to. She seemed genuinely interested, not just making conversation. Eventually, he found himself telling her about his past. He had been part of a crew once. 5 people, including himself. They were like family. But 5 years ago, he made a bad decision during a job. He thought he could handle a dangerous salvage operation. He was wrong. The ship they were salvaging exploded. Everyone died except him. I am very sorry, Da-eun said softly. That must have been terrible. It was my fault, Taehyun said. I was the captain. I made the call. They trusted me and died because of it. But it was an accident, yes?
You did not mean for it to happen. That does not matter.
They are still dead. Dayun was quiet for a moment. My father died 10 years ago. He was sick. Our mother tried everything to save him, but nothing worked. For a long time, she blamed herself. She thought she should have done more. But Harin and I told her the same thing I will tell you now. You cannot control everything. Sometimes bad things happen, and it is not anyone's fault. Your crew would not want you to be alone and sad forever. Taehyun stopped working. He looked at Da-eun. She was young, but her eyes held wisdom. Thank you, he said quietly. She smiled. You are welcome. After that, Da-eun visited him often. She told him about Valdris culture, their empire, and their home world. She explained that their society was run by women. The Empress had absolute power. Men could be advisors or consorts, but they rarely held major positions. It was very different from human society. Harin was harder to connect with. She was polite but distant. She spent most of her time in her room or practicing combat forms in the cargo bay. Taehyun could see she was a trained fighter. Her movements were precise and controlled. On the 3rd day, they stopped at a refueling station. It was a small automated station on the edge of civilized space. Taehyun docked the ship and went to handle the refueling. He told the princesses to stay on board and keep the door locked. He was in the station's supply shop when he noticed something wrong. 3 men in dark clothes were watching his ship. They were not trying to hide it. One of them spoke into a communication device. Taehyun's instincts screamed danger. He quickly bought what he needed and hurried back to his ship. As he approached, the 3 men moved to intercept him. They drew weapons. Stop right there, human, one of them said. We know you have the Valdris princesses on your ship. Hand them over and you can live. Taehyun's mind raced. These were not random raiders. They knew exactly who he had on board. I do not know what you are talking about, he said. Do not play stupid. We tracked your ship here. Now give us the princesses or die. Taehyun looked around. The station was almost empty. No one would help him. He was outnumbered and outgunned. But he had something they did not expect. He moved fast. He threw his supply bag at the nearest man's face and dove behind a fuel container. Plasma bolts screamed through the air where he had been standing. Taehyun pulled out his pistol and fired back. He hit one man in the shoulder. The man went down screaming. The other 2 split up, trying to flank him. Taehyun ran toward his ship, firing as he went. He needed to get Harin and Da-eun away from here, but then the ship's cargo door opened. Harin stepped out, holding an energy rifle she must have found in his weapons locker. She fired with perfect accuracy. 1 assassin fell. The last one tried to run, but Da-eun appeared in the doorway and threw something. It was a stun grenade. The device exploded in a flash of light and sound. The assassin collapsed. Taehyun reached the ship, breathing hard. I told you to stay inside. And let them kill you? Harin said. We do not abandon people who help us. Besides, we are not helpless, Da-eun added. Harin is one of the best fighters in the Empire. Taehyun looked at Harin with new respect. Nice shooting, she almost smiled. Thank you. Your tactics are unusual but effective. That move with the supply bag was clever. We need to leave now, Taehyun said. If they found us, others will too. They quickly returned to the ship and undocked. As they flew away, Taehyun contacted the station authorities and told them about the attack. He did not mention who his passengers were. Once they were safe in deep space, the 3 of them sat in the common area. Taehyun brought out food supplies. He made a simple meal of protein bars, dried fruit, and reconstituted soup. It was not fancy, but it was all he had. Harin and Daun stared at the food. You eat this? Harin asked. Yes, it is not great, but it keeps you alive. Daun took a bite of the protein bar and made a face. It tastes like… I do not know what it tastes like. Recycled cardboard, Taehyun said. That is what my old crew used to say. Despite herself, Harin laughed. It was the first time Taehyun had heard her laugh. It changed her whole face. She looked younger and less guarded. They ate together in companionable silence. After a while, Harin spoke. Those men at the station. They were not ordinary raiders. They were professional assassins, I noticed, Taehyun said. Someone hired them to kill us, Daeun said quietly. Someone who knew our route and our schedule. A traitor in your mother's court, Taehyun said. It was not a question. Harin nodded. We believe so. That is why we cannot trust anyone. Our escort was supposed to be loyal, but they were ambushed from within. Someone betrayed us. Do you have any idea who? Taehyun asked. Several people could benefit from our deaths, Harin said. Our mother has enemies. Some want to weaken her rule. Others want to take the throne themselves. Then Port Helion might not be safe either, Taehyun said. No, it will be safe, Daun said. Our mother will have sent her personal fleet there by now. She will be looking for us. Harin looked at Taehyun. I must apologize. When you rescued us, I was suspicious and ungrateful. I'm sorry. You have risked your life for us multiple times now. You are a good person. I just did what anyone should do, Taehyun said. But most would not, Harin said. Especially for strangers. Especially for aliens. You could have left us in that pod. You could have sold us to those assassins. But you chose to protect us. That says much about your character. Taehyun felt uncomfortable with the praise. Your sister told me you are a great fighter. Want to show me some moves? Maybe we can spar a little? Harin's eyes lit up. You want to fight me? Not fight, practice. I am curious about Valdra's combat techniques. Very well. But do not complain when I beat you. Daun clapped her hands together. This will be interesting. They went to the cargo bay and cleared some space. Harin showed Taehyun some basic Valdra's combat forms. They were elegant and efficient. Then Taehyun showed her some human techniques. They were rougher and less refined, but practical. They began to spar slowly. Harin was faster and stronger than Taehyun expected. She moved like water, smooth and flowing. But Taehyun was unpredictable. He used the environment, grabbed improvised weapons, and did not fight fair. After several rounds, they were both breathing hard and smiling. You fight like a wild animal, Harin said. No discipline. But I am still standing, Taehyun pointed out. She laughed again. True, I like your style. It is refreshing. That night, as they traveled toward Port Helion, Taehyun realized something had changed. He did not feel alone anymore. He had started to care about these two princesses. They were not just passengers. They were becoming friends, and that scared him more than any assassin ever could. Port Helion appeared on the view screen like a massive steel flower floating in space. The station was huge, with docking bays for hundreds of ships. But what caught Taehyun's attention was the fleet surrounding it. Dozens of Valdris warships, their hulls gleaming with purple and silver markings. This was an Imperial battle fleet. Your mother does not do things small, does she? Taehyun said. Daeun came to stand beside him. She was very worried. We are her only children. More than worried, Harin added. She probably thought we were dead. This fleet is her answer to whoever attacked us. Taehyun received a communication from the station. A stern voice spoke in Valdris language. Harin answered, and immediately the tone changed. The voice became excited and urgent. They are clearing a priority docking bay for us, Harin translated. The Empress is here. She wants to see us immediately. Taehyun felt nervous. He was about to meet an Empress. An alien ruler with the power to destroy planets. He looked down at his worn clothes and oil-stained hands. I should probably clean up. There is no time, Daun said. But do not worry. Our mother will like you. How do you know? Because we like you, Daun said simply. The docking procedure was smooth. As soon as Taehyun opened the cargo door, he saw what looked like 100 soldiers in ceremonial armor. They stood in perfect formation. In the center of them stood a woman who could only be the Empress. Empress Yujin was tall and imposing. She wore robes of deep purple that seemed to shimmer with their own light. Her hair was long and silver-white, flowing down her back. Her face was beautiful but stern, with high cheekbones and those same golden eyes her daughters had. But her eyes held something else: power, authority, the weight of an empire. Harin and Daun walked down the ramp. "Mother," they said together and bowed. The Empress's stern expression cracked. She rushed forward and embraced both her daughters. For a moment, she was not an empress. She was just a mother who had almost lost her children. Tae-hyun saw tears on her face. She held them for a long time, speaking rapidly in Valdris. Then she pulled back and looked them over, checking for injuries. Only when she was satisfied they were unharmed did she turn her attention to Tae-hyun. Her golden eyes fixed on him. Tae-hyun felt like she could see straight through him, reading every secret he had. He forced himself not to look away. "You are the human who saved my daughters," she said. Her voice was strong and clear. She spoke his language perfectly. "Yes, Empress. My name is Tae-hyun." She walked toward him slowly. The soldiers tensed, ready to protect her. But she raised a hand and they relaxed slightly. She stopped right in front of Tae-hyun. He was tall for a human, but she was exactly his height. They stood eye to eye. "My daughters told me everything during our communication," she said. "You rescued them from Krill raiders. You protected them from assassins. You risked your life for them multiple times. You asked for nothing in return." "I did what anyone should do," Tae-hyun said. "But most would not have," the Empress said. "Most would have ignored the distress signal. Or they would have demanded payment first. Or they would have sold my daughters to the highest bidder. You did none of these things." She took a step back and suddenly bowed her head to him. Every soldier gasped. Tae-hyun smiled. Harin looked proud. "In my culture," the Empress said, "when someone saves a life, they carry a debt to that person. You saved not one but 2 lives. Royal lives. The debt I owe you is beyond measure. I, Empress Yujin, ruler of the Valdris Empire, am in your debt. Name your reward. Anything you want, it is yours." Tae-hyun felt uncomfortable. "I do not need a reward, Empress. I am just glad your daughters are safe." Her eyes widened slightly. "You refuse?" "I just want to go back to my ship and my work. That is enough for me." The Empress stared at him like he was speaking a foreign language. Around them, the soldiers whispered to each other in shock. Apparently, refusing an empress was not normal. "You truly want nothing?" she asked. "No wealth, no title? No lands to rule?" "No, thank you. I prefer a simple life." The Empress was quiet for a long moment. Then something changed in her expression. The sternness softened. She looked at him with curiosity and something else he could not identify. "Fascinating," she said softly. "You are very unusual, Tae-hyun." An older male Valdris in ornate robes approached. He bowed to the Empress and spoke in their language. She nodded and turned back to Tae-hyun. "This is my advisor, Jae-won. He reminds me that by our laws a life debt must be repaid. Since you refuse material rewards, I must offer something else." She paused, thinking. "I invite you to stay at the Imperial Palace as my guest. You will be given quarters, food, and anything you need. This way, I can properly honor the debt I owe you." "That is not necessary," Tae-hyun started to say. "I must insist," the Empress said. Her tone made it clear this was not really a request. "Also, there is a practical reason. Whoever tried to kill my daughters knows that you saved them. You are now a target. The safest place for you is with us under Imperial protection." Tae-hyun had not thought about that. She was right. The assassins knew his face and his ship. They would come after him. For how long? He asked. "Until we find and eliminate the traitors who arranged the attack. A few weeks at most." Da-un touched his arm. "Please stay, Tae-hyun. It would make us feel better knowing you are safe." Harin nodded in agreement. Tae-hyun sighed. He was trapped. "Fine, a few weeks. But then I go back to my life," the Empress smiled. It transformed her face completely. "Agreed? Come, we will return to the capital world. Your ship will be transported safely with the fleet." The journey to the Valdris capital took 2 days by Imperial ship. Tae-hyun stayed in a guest cabin that was bigger than his entire ship. Everything was luxurious and ornate. It made him uncomfortable. He was used to simple things. During the journey, he learned more about what had happened. The attack on the princesses was not random. It had been carefully planned. Their escort ships had been sabotaged from within. The captain of the guard had been found dead, murdered before the attack began. The Empress's investigators had traced the conspiracy to a faction within the imperial court. They believed the leader was someone close to the Empress, someone with access to royal schedules and security protocols. "We arrested several suspects," the Empress told him during a private meeting. But the true mastermind is still hidden. That is why I must be very careful about who I trust. Why tell me this? Taehyun asked. Because my daughters trust you. That means I trust you. Also, you have no connection to imperial politics. You gain nothing from my problems. That makes you valuable. She looked tired, Taehyun noticed. The stress of almost losing her daughters and having a traitor in her court was clearly affecting her. When did you last sleep? He asked. She blinked, surprised by the question. I do not remember. You should rest. Your daughters are safe now. You need to take care of yourself too. For a moment her mask slipped. She looked vulnerable. If I had lost them, they are all I have left since my husband died. I do not know what I would have done. But you did not lose them, Taehyun said gently. They are here. They are safe. And they need you to be strong and healthy. She studied his face. You speak to me as an equal. No one does that. Everyone either fears me or wants something from me. I am not afraid of you and I do not want anything from you. I'm just being honest. She smiled again, that same warm smile that made her look younger. I like honesty. It is rare in my world. They arrived at the capital world, Valdris Prime. From orbit it looked like a jewel. Blue oceans, green continents, and cities that sparkled like diamonds. The imperial palace sat on an island in the center of a vast ocean. It was beautiful and massive, with towers reaching toward the sky. As they landed, the Empress turned to Taehyun. I want to warn you. My court is full of politics and danger. People will try to use you. They will try to figure out why I am keeping you close. Trust no one except my daughters and me. Do you understand? I understand. Good. Welcome to my home, Taehyun. I hope you will be comfortable here. She left to attend to her duties. Harin and Daun showed Taehyun to his quarters. They were in the family wing of the palace, which apparently was a huge honor. The rooms were enormous, with furniture that looked like art. There was a balcony overlooking the ocean. This is too much, Taehyun said. Mother insisted, Daun said. She wants you close. Why? Harin and Daun exchanged a look. Our mother has been alone for a long time, Harin said carefully. Since our father died, she has devoted herself entirely to ruling the empire. She has no friends, no companions, only advisors and servants who want power or influence. You are different, Daun added. You helped us without wanting anything. You spoke to her honestly. She respects that. We think she might want to get to know you better. Taehyun felt a strange flutter in his chest. She is an empress. I am just a salvage operator. Maybe that is exactly why she finds you interesting, Harin said with a knowing smile. After they left, Taehyun stood on the balcony and looked out at the ocean. The sun was setting, painting the sky in colors he had no names for. He thought about the Empress, about her strength and her loneliness, about how for a moment he had seen past the crown to the woman beneath. This was going to be a complicated few weeks. Taehyun woke up in a bed that felt like sleeping on a cloud. For a moment he forgot where he was. Then he saw the ornate ceiling and the silk curtains, and memory returned. He was in the imperial palace, a guest of the Empress. He got up and looked around his rooms. There were 5 separate areas, including a bedroom, a sitting room, a bathroom with a pool-sized tub, and a dining area. It was more space than he knew what to do with. A servant appeared as if by magic. She was a young Valdris female who bowed low. Good morning, honored guest. I am Misun. I have been assigned to serve you during your stay. Would you like breakfast? Just something simple, please, Taehyun said. She looked confused. Simple? Could you be more specific? Whatever you normally eat. I am not picky, she bowed again and left. 20 minutes later, she returned with a cart full of food. There were fruits he had never seen before. Breads that smelled amazing, proteins cooked in various styles, and drinks of different colors. This is simple? Taehyun asked. Misun looked worried. Is it not enough? I can bring more. No. This is perfect. Thank you. After breakfast, Daun came to visit. She wore a beautiful dress and her hair was styled elaborately. She looked every bit the princess. Good morning. Did you sleep well? Too well, Taehyun admitted. That bed is dangerous, she laughed. Come, I will show you around the palace. You need to know where everything is. The palace was like a small city. There were gardens that stretched for acres, halls filled with art and history, libraries with millions of books, training rooms, pools, and areas Taehyun could not even identify. Everywhere they went, servants and nobles bowed to Da-un and stared at Tae-hyun with curiosity. "Everyone is looking at me," Tae-hyun whispered. "Of course they are," Da-un said. "You are human, which is rare here. You are staying in the family wing, which is unheard of. And you saved the lives of the royal princesses. You are famous. I do not like being famous. You will get used to it." They walked through a garden with flowers that seemed to glow softly. Tae-hyun picked one and handed it to him. "These only grow on our world. They glow brighter when they are happy. Plants can be happy."
All living things can be happy, I think. They sat on a bench near a fountain.
Tae-hyun asked him about Earth and human culture. She wanted to know everything. What did humans eat? What kind of music did they like? What were their families like? Tae-hyun told her what he could. He described cities and forests, oceans and mountains. He told her about human diversity, about how many different cultures existed on one planet. She listened with absolute fascination. "Your species is so varied," she said. "Valdris are more uniform. We have different personalities, but our culture is mostly the same across all our worlds. Is that good or bad? I do not know. It is just how we are. But I think your way is more interesting." That afternoon, Harin found him. She wore training clothes and carried practice weapons. "Come," she said. "We are going to train." She led him to a large training hall. Several other Valdris warriors were there, practicing combat forms. When Harin entered, they all stopped and bowed. Clearly she was respected here. "Show me more of your human fighting techniques," Harin said. They began to spar. The other warriors stopped their own training to watch. At first Harin held back, but soon they were going at full intensity. Tae-hyun used every trick he knew. He was not as fast or strong as Harin, but he was unpredictable. He grabbed her arm and used her momentum to flip her. She landed on her back, shocked. Then she swept his legs out from under him. He fell hard. They both lay on the mat, breathing heavily, then started laughing. "You are getting better," Harin said. "You are still faster. But you are craftier. That counts for much in real combat." One of the watching warriors approached. She was older, with scars on her arms. "Princess Harin, who is this human? He fights like a street brawler." "This is Tae-hyun," Harin said proudly. "He saved my sister and me from Krill raiders and assassins." The warrior studied Tae-hyun with new respect. "Then he is welcome here. I am Bora, commander of the Imperial Guard. Any friend of the princesses is a friend of ours." Over the next few days, Tae-hyun fell into a routine. Mornings with Da-un, learning about Valdris culture and history. Afternoons with Harin, training in combat. Evenings alone, usually on his balcony, watching the sunset. But he also began to notice something. The Empress kept appearing in his life as if by accident. He would be walking in the garden and she would be there. He would be in the library and she would arrive to find a book. He would be having dinner alone and she would join him because she happened to be free. At first he thought it was coincidence, but after the 5th time he realized she was arranging these meetings. One evening they were both in the garden again. The Empress wore simpler clothes than usual, without all the formal robes and jewelry. She looked more relaxed. "You like this garden," she observed. "It is peaceful," Tae-hyun said. "Reminds me that nature exists beyond ships and stations. I come here when I need to think, when the weight of empire becomes too heavy." They walked together in silence for a while. Then the Empress spoke again. "Tell me, Tae-hyun, what do you think of our world?" "It is beautiful. Very different from human worlds." "How so?" "More ordered. More elegant. Human worlds are messy and chaotic. Lots of different ideas competing. Here everything seems to have its place. Is that good or bad?" "Neither. Just different," she smiled slightly. "You never give simple answers. You always make me think. I am sorry if that is annoying." "It is not annoying. It is refreshing." They reached a section of the garden with a view of the ocean. The moon was rising, making the water sparkle like diamonds. The Empress stood at the railing looking out. "My husband loved this view," she said quietly. "He would stand here for hours just watching the waves. He said it helped him remember that the empire was made of individuals, not just numbers and statistics." "You miss him," Tae-hyun said. "Every day. He was my partner in every sense. We ruled together, decided together, lived together. When he died, I felt like half of me died too. But you kept going. For your daughters, yes, they needed me. The empire needed me. So I buried my grief and did my duty." She turned to look at him. Until recently, I thought I would spend the rest of my life alone, surrounded by people but truly alone. Taehyun's heart beat faster. There was something in her eyes, something intense and vulnerable. You do not have to be alone, he said softly. Do I not?
I am the Empress.
Everyone who approaches me wants something. Power, influence, favor. No one sees me as just Jin. Just a woman. I see you. She moved closer to him. Do you? What do you see? I see someone strong who carries too much weight. Someone intelligent who hides loneliness. Someone who loves her daughters more than anything. Someone who deserves to be happy. Her eyes glistened. For a moment, Taehyun thought she might cry. But she controlled herself, though her voice was thick with emotion. No one has spoken to me like this in 10 years. Maybe they should. She reached out and touched his hand. Her skin was warm. I am glad you are here, Taehyun. Before he could respond, there was a loud alarm. Guards rushed into the garden. Empress! We must get you to safety now. What is happening? She demanded. An attack during the state ceremony. Someone tried to kill you with an explosive device. We stopped it, but the guard did not finish. There was a flash of light and an explosion. Not close, but close enough. Taehyun instinctively moved in front of the Empress, shielding her with his body. He felt heat and force, then pain in his shoulder. Then everything went dark. When he woke up, he was in a medical room. His shoulder was bandaged and hurt badly. Harin and Daun were there, looking worried. And the Empress sat beside his bed holding his hand. You foolish man, she said, but her voice was gentle. You jumped in front of an explosion for me. Instinct, Taehyun said weakly. Are you hurt? No, because you protected me. She squeezed his hand. The healers say you will be fine. The energy blast caught your shoulder, but it could have been much worse. What happened? Someone planted multiple explosive devices around the palace. They were targeting me during the ceremony. If we had not been in the garden, if you had not reacted so quickly... She stopped, unable to finish. Harin spoke up. They found the traitor. It was Grand Admiral Seojun, our cousin. He has been plotting against Mother for years, trying to take the throne. He has been arrested, Dawn added. But his followers are still out there. That is why they attacked today. The Empress stood up. I need to deal with this. But I will return soon. She looked down at Taehyun. Thank you. Again, you saved my life. This debt I owe you grows deeper. After she left, Harin and Daun moved closer. They were both smiling despite the situation. What? Taehyun asked. Our mother is falling for you, Daun said happily. We can see it. That is impossible. She is an Empress. And you are the only man who treats her like a person, Harin said. Do you have feelings for her? Taehyun thought about it honestly. Yes, he admitted. But it does not matter. We are from different worlds. She has an empire to run. Love does not care about such things, Dayan said wisely. You sound like your father, came the Empress's voice. She had returned, having heard the last part. He used to say the same thing. The princesses quickly excused themselves, leaving Taehyun and the Empress alone. She sat down beside him again. I did not mean to eavesdrop, but I am glad I did. Taehyun spent 3 days recovering in the medical wing. His shoulder healed quickly thanks to Valdris medical technology, which was far more advanced than human medicine. The healers said he was lucky. A few centimeters closer and the energy blast would have killed him. Every day the Empress visited him. Sometimes she came in the morning before her duties. Sometimes late at night after meetings. She would sit beside his bed and they would talk for hours. About everything and nothing. Their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. He learned that she loved ancient poetry. She learned that he could play a human instrument called a guitar. I have not talked to anyone like this since my husband died, she admitted one night. I forgot how good it feels to just be myself. You can always be yourself with me, Taehyun said. Harin and Daeun visited too. They brought him books, showed him recordings of Valdris entertainment, and kept him company. He realized they were not just being kind. They were showing him what being part of their family would be like. You should know, Harin said one afternoon. The entire court is talking about you and Mother. What are they saying? Some say it is scandalous. An empress with a human male. Others say it is romantic. A few are angry and think you are not worthy. Maybe they are right, Harin frowned. Do not say that. You saved our lives. You saved Mother's life. You are worthy of anything, Daeun nodded. Besides, Mother likes you. That is all that matters. She has been alone for so long. We just want her to be happy. What about you two? How do you feel about this? They looked at each other and smiled. We love it, Daun said. You are already like family to us. If you and Mother bond, it would be perfect. Bond? That is what we call marriage, Haran explained. When two people bond, they become partners for life. It is a sacred commitment in our culture. Taehyun felt the weight of that word. Marriage. Partnership. Forever. It was terrifying and thrilling at the same time. On the fourth day, the healers declared him fully recovered. He returned to his quarters and found new clothes waiting for him. They were a mix of human and Valdris styles, elegant but practical. Clearly, someone had paid attention to his preferences. That evening, the Empress requested his presence at a private dinner. Just the two of them. He went to her personal quarters, which he had never seen before. They were beautiful but surprisingly modest compared to the rest of the palace. There were books everywhere, personal items that showed who she really was, paintings of her daughters at different ages, a small sculpture that looked handmade, photos of her late husband. She greeted him wearing a simple dress, not her formal robes. Her hair was down, flowing over her shoulders. She looked younger, more relaxed. Thank you for coming, she said. Thank you for inviting me. They sat at a small table on her private balcony. The ocean spread out before them and the stars were coming out. Servants brought food and then left them alone. For a while they ate in comfortable silence. Then the Empress spoke. I need to tell you something important, she said. We found all of Seojun's conspirators. The threat is over. You are safe now. You can leave whenever you want. Taehyun felt a strange mix of relief and disappointment. I see, but I do not want you to leave. She looked at him directly. I want you to stay. Not as a guest. As something more. His heart raced. What are you saying? I am saying that I have feelings for you, Taehyun. Strong feelings. You make me feel alive again. You make me laugh. You challenge me. You treat me like a person, not a throne. I have not felt this way since my husband died. She paused, looking vulnerable. I want to bond with you. I want you to be my partner, my equal, my companion. I want you in my life permanently. Taehyun sat back, overwhelmed. Jin, I have feelings for you too. You are amazing. But this is complicated. You are an empress. I am just a salvage operator. Your people will never accept me. Let me worry about my people. The question is, do you want this? Do you want me? Yes, but I am afraid. Of what? Of losing myself. Of becoming just your consort, just an ornament. I do not want to be someone's decoration. I need to have purpose, to do meaningful things. She reached across the table and took his hands. I would never ask you to be just a consort. You would be my full partner, equal in our personal life and advisor in matters of state. You would have your own projects, your own responsibilities. I want your mind and your heart, not just your presence. The court will fight this. I heard what Haran said. Many nobles think I am not worthy. Then we will prove them wrong. There is an old tradition, the trials of merit. It is a way for someone to prove their worth to the empire, combat wisdom and leadership. If you pass, no one can question your place at my side. And if I fail, then you must leave the empire forever. That is the law, Taehyun thought about it. Who decides if I pass or fail? The Council of Elders. They are impartial. Even I cannot influence their decision. When would this happen? If you agree, the trials would begin in 1 week. That gives you time to prepare. Taehyun stood up and walked to the railing. He looked out at the ocean, thinking. This was a huge decision. If he failed, he would lose everything. But if he did not try, he would regret it forever. He turned back to her. I will do it. I will take the trials of merit. Her face lit up with hope and fear mixed together. Are you sure? Yes, not because I want to be an empress's consort, but because I want to be your partner. You deserve someone who will fight for you. She stood and came to him. She was close, so close he could feel her warmth. Thank you, she whispered. Then she kissed him. It was soft and sweet, full of hope and longing. Taehyun felt like his heart might explode. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. I should warn you, she said. The trials are very difficult. Many accomplished Valdris nobles have failed. I am not afraid of difficulty. I know. That is one of the things I love about you. The word love hung in the air between them. She had said it casually, but they both felt its weight. I think I love you too, Taehyun said quietly. I did not expect to. I came here planning to leave as soon as possible. But you changed everything. She hugged him tightly. We will face whatever comes together. The next morning, the announcement was made. Taehyun would undergo the trials of merit. The whole empire would watch. If he succeeded, the Empress would bond with him. If he failed, he would be exiled forever. The court exploded in gossip and debate. Some nobles were outraged. How dare a human, a male, a commoner challenge tradition? Others were intrigued. If this human could pass the trials, it would prove that worth was not about birth. The leader of the opposition was Lord Jae-won, the Empress's senior advisor. He was an older male with a stern face and traditional views. He came to see Taehyun privately. "You are making a mistake," Jae-won said. "The trials will break you. I have seen many try and fail. You cannot win." "I have to try," Taehyun said. "Why?" "You could leave now with your life and your dignity. Instead, you choose certain humiliation. Because she is worth fighting for." Jae-won studied him. "You truly care for the Empress?" "Yes," the old advisor sighed. "Then I will give you advice even though I oppose this bonding. The trials test more than skill. They test character. Be yourself. Do not try to become something you are not. That is how most fail. Thank you. Do not thank me. I still hope you fail. But I respect courage, even misguided courage." The week of preparation passed quickly. Harin trained with Taehyun every day, helping him improve his combat skills. Taehyun taught him Valdris history and culture, information he would need for the wisdom trial. Bora, the guard commander, shared strategies for leadership. The Empress could not help him directly. That would be cheating. But she visited him every evening, and they would sit together not talking about the trials, just being together. "Whatever happens," she said the night before the trials began, "know that I am proud of you. You have already proven yourself to me and my daughters. The trials are just for everyone else." "I will not let you down," Taehyun promised. She kissed him gently. "You could never let me down. Just be yourself." "That is enough." The morning of the first trial arrived. Taehyun stood in his quarters looking at himself in the mirror. He wore simple training clothes. He had his father's old necklace around his neck, a reminder of home. There was a knock on the door. Harin and Daewon entered. "Ready?" Harin asked. "As ready as I will ever be." "Remember everything we taught you," Daewon said. "And remember why you are doing this," Harin added. "For love, for family, for your future." They escorted him to the grand arena. Thousands of Valdris filled the seats. Cameras recorded everything. The entire empire was watching. In the royal box, the Empress sat with her advisors. She looked calm, but Taehyun could see the tension in her shoulders. The chief elder, an ancient female with pure white hair, stood in the center of the arena. Her voice echoed, "Taehyun of Earth, you stand before the empire to prove your worth. You will face 3 trials: combat, wisdom, and leadership. Pass all 3, and you will be deemed worthy of bonding with our Empress. Fail even one, and you will be exiled forever. Do you accept these terms?" Taehyun looked up at the Empress. She gave him the smallest nod. He turned to the elder. "I accept." "Then let the trials of merit begin," the crowd roared. Taehyun took a deep breath. The first trial was combat. The chief elder explained the rules. Taehyun would face Bora, the commander of the Imperial Guard and the greatest warrior in the empire. The fight would continue until one of them could no longer stand or yielded. Killing was forbidden, but serious injury was expected. Bora entered the arena to massive cheers. She wore light armor and carried dual energy blades. She was tall and muscular, with scars that told stories of 100 battles. She looked at Taehyun with respect but no mercy. "I will not go easy on you because the Empress favors you," she said. "That would insult us both." "I would not want you to," Taehyun replied. They bowed to each other. Then the chief elder raised her hand. "Begin." Bora moved like lightning. She closed the distance between them in a heartbeat, her blades flashing. Taehyun barely dodged, rolling to the side. She was faster than Harin, stronger than anyone he had ever fought. He could not win through strength or speed. He needed to be smarter. Bora attacked again, a series of precise strikes meant to test his defenses. Taehyun blocked and parried using his training staff, but each impact sent shocks through his arms. She was so powerful. The crowd was cheering for Bora. Of course they were. She was their champion, their hero. Taehyun was just a human who dared to love their Empress. He changed tactics. He stopped trying to block and started moving. He used the entire arena, making her chase him. He grabbed sand from the floor and threw it at her eyes. She blocked it with her arm, but it slowed her down. "Clever," she called out. "But tricks will not save you." She pressed the attack harder. Taehyun felt his energy draining. He needed to end this somehow. Then he saw his chance. There were pillars around the arena for decoration. He ran toward one. Bora followed, thinking he was retreating. But at the last second, Taehyun jumped, pushed off the pillar with his feet and flipped over her head. As he passed, he struck her back with his staff. It was not a hard hit, but it was unexpected. Bora stumbled forward, surprised. The crowd gasped. No one had landed a hit on Bora in years. She turned, and Taehyun saw something new in her eyes. Excitement. She was enjoying this. "You are full of surprises," she said. "Let us see what else you have." The fight intensified. Bora stopped holding back completely. Her blades were everywhere at once. Taehyun used every trick he knew. He grabbed her arm and tried to throw her. She countered and threw him instead. He crashed into a pillar, feeling ribs crack. Pain shot through his side. He forced himself to stand. The crowd was louder now. Some were cheering for him. Not many, but some. He looked up at the royal box. The Empress was on her feet, hands pressed to her lips. Haran and Daun gripped the railing, watching intently. Taehyun could not lose. Not for himself. For them, Bora came at him again. This time he did not try to be clever. He met her head on. Their weapons clashed again and again. He was weaker, but he had heart. He had purpose. She swept his legs. He fell. She pointed her blade at his throat. "Yield," she commanded. The crowd went silent. Everyone thought it was over. But Taehyun saw something. Bora's stance was too confident, too certain. Her weight was slightly forward. He took the risk. He grabbed the blade pointed at him, ignoring the pain as it cut his palm. Then he kicked her knee from the side. She buckled. He pushed her blade away and tackled her to the ground. They rolled, each trying to gain the advantage. Finally, Taehyun ended up on top, his forearm pressed to her throat. Not hard enough to truly hurt, but the position was clear. "Yield," he gasped. Bora laughed. Actually laughed. "I yield." The crowd exploded. Half in shock, half in amazement. Taehyun rolled off her, exhausted. Bora sat up, still smiling. "You are insane," she said, "grabbing a blade with your bare hand. But brave. Very brave." She helped him to his feet. They stood together, and she raised his arm in victory. The cheers grew louder. Even those who opposed him had to respect his courage. The chief elder announced, "First trial passed." Healers rushed to treat Taehyun's injuries. His ribs were cracked and his hand needed stitches. But he had won. One trial down, 2 to go. The second trial was wisdom. Taehyun was brought to a council chamber. 5 elders sat in judgment. Lord Jae-won was among them. They presented him with a scenario. "A colony world is in rebellion," the chief elder explained. "They refuse to pay taxes and have declared independence. They are not violent, but they are defiant. The traditional response is to send the fleet and force them to obey. What would you do?" Taehyun thought carefully. This was a test of more than just knowledge. It was a test of character and values. "First, I would ask why they are rebelling," he said. "Rebellion does not happen without reason. They say the taxes are too high and the empire does not provide enough in return," one elder said. "Then maybe they have a point," Taehyun said. "If we rule through fear and force, we create enemies. But if we rule through fairness and partnership, we create allies." "You would give in to their demands?" Jae-won asked sharply. "That shows weakness. No, I would negotiate. I would send representatives to hear their concerns. Maybe the taxes are too high. Maybe we can adjust them and provide more support. Or maybe we can give them more local control in exchange for their continued loyalty. Violence should be the last option, not the first," the elders murmured among themselves. Jae-won frowned. "That is not the Valdris way. We rule with strength. But is strength only about force?" Taehyun asked. "True strength is knowing when to fight and when to talk. A wise ruler builds loyalty through respect, not fear. Fear only lasts until someone stronger comes along. But respect and fairness create lasting peace," he continued, speaking from his heart. "The Empress has an empire spanning 40 star systems. That is amazing. But empires are not made of planets and ships. They are made of people. Every person matters. Every voice deserves to be heard. If we treat people like problems to be solved with force, we lose their hearts. But if we treat them as partners in a shared future, We build something that lasts forever. The chamber was silent. Then the chief elder spoke. You speak with wisdom beyond your years. You understand that true leadership is not about power over others, but power with others. Jaewon stood up. I must object. His ideas are radical. They undermine tradition. Traditions are important, Taehyun agreed. But traditions should serve the people, not the other way around. Good traditions should be kept. Bad traditions should be changed. That is how societies grow and improve. Another elder, an ancient male named Kiwon, smiled. Young human, you remind me of the Empress's late husband. He spoke the same way. With compassion and vision, the elders voted. 4 voted to pass him. Only Jaewon voted to fail him. Second trial passed. The chief elder announced. 2 down, 1 to go. The third trial was leadership. This was not a simulation. It was a real mission. Remnants of Seo Jun's faction had taken hostages on an orbital station. Taehyun would lead a squad of Imperial soldiers to rescue them. The squad consisted of 6 soldiers. They were all experienced warriors. They were also all skeptical of taking orders from a human. Before the mission, Taehyun gathered them. I know you do not want me here, he said bluntly. I know you think I am not qualified. Maybe you are right. But we have a job to do. People's lives depend on us. So here is my promise. I will not ask you to do anything I would not do myself. I will listen to your advice, and I will do everything in my power to bring all of you home alive. The squad sergeant, a female named Hee-jin, studied him. You were a ship captain before? Yes, for 5 years. What happened to your crew? Taehyun met her eyes. They died. My mistake got them killed. I have lived with that guilt ever since. I will not make the same mistake twice. Hee-jin nodded slowly. Then we will follow you. For now. They boarded a fast attack ship and approached the station. Intelligence said there were 12 hostiles and 15 hostages. The hostiles were heavily armed but cornered. They had nothing to lose. Taehyun studied the station layout. There were 3 possible entry points. The main entrance was too obvious. The maintenance tunnels were too narrow. But there was a third option, the waste disposal system. We go in through the garbage, Taehyun said. His squad looked at him like he was crazy. Seriously? One soldier asked. They will not expect it. We enter here, move through these corridors and hit them from behind while they watch the main entrance. It will smell terrible, another soldier complained. Would you rather smell bad or die? Taehyun asked. Hee-jin grinned. I like him. Let's go through the garbage. The plan worked. They entered through the waste system, which did indeed smell horrible, but they reached the hostage location without being detected. The hostiles had all their attention on the main entrance, where Imperial forces were making noise as a distraction. Taehyun signaled his squad. They moved like shadows, silent and precise. When they were in position, Taehyun gave the order. Non-lethal takedowns if possible. Go! They struck fast. The hostiles were caught completely by surprise. Most surrendered immediately. 2 tried to fight and were quickly subdued. 1 grabbed a hostage holding a weapon to the civilian's head. Stay back or I kill him. The hostile shouted. Taehyun stepped forward, hands raised. You do not want to do that. I will do it. No, you will not. Because you are scared and desperate. But the bonding ceremony took place 1 month after Taehyun completed the trials. That month was a whirlwind of preparation, planning, and politics. The Empire needed to see that this bonding was not just a romantic gesture, but a partnership that would strengthen the realm. Taehyun spent his days learning the complex protocols of being the Empress's consort. He attended council meetings, studied imperial law, and met with various faction leaders. Some welcomed him warmly, others were coldly polite, but he won them over slowly through honesty and genuine interest in their concerns. Lord Jaewon remained skeptical, but even he admitted that Taehyun was adapting well. You are not what I expected, the old advisor said one day. I thought you would be arrogant or incompetent. But you actually listen and learn. Perhaps this bonding will not be a disaster after all. High praise, Taehyun said with a smile. Do not let it go to your head. Harin and Dayun were overjoyed. They helped him plan the ceremony, insisting it should blend human and Valdris traditions. You are not giving up who you are, Dayun said. You are adding to it. The night before the ceremony, Taehyun stood alone on his balcony. Tomorrow his life would change forever. He would bond with an empress, become part of a royal family and take on responsibilities he had never imagined. He felt a presence behind him. Yujin joined him at the railing. She wore a simple robe, her hair loose in the evening breeze. "Nervous?" she asked. "Terrified," he admitted. "Me too." He looked at her in surprise.
"You are? Why?"
"Because I am afraid of losing you. Afraid that the weight of being bonded to an Empress will crush who you are. Afraid that one day you will regret choosing me." Taehyun took her hand. "I will never regret choosing you. Yes, this life is complicated. Yes, there will be challenges. But I would rather face those challenges with you than live an easy life without you." She leaned against him. "When I met you, I had forgotten what it meant to be happy. I was just going through the motions of life, doing my duty. You reminded me that there is more to life than duty. There is joy, laughter, and love. You gave me something too," Taehyun said. "Purpose, a reason to stop hiding from the world. You and your daughters became the family I thought I had lost forever." They stood together in silence, watching the stars. Tomorrow they would stand before the Empire, but tonight they were just two people in love. The morning of the bonding ceremony arrived clear and beautiful. The palace was decorated with flowers from 100 worlds. Guests came from every corner of the Empire and beyond. Even some human diplomats attended, curious about the human who won an Empress's heart. Taehyun dressed in his ceremonial clothes. He wore a blend of Valdris formal robes and human suit elements. Over his heart he wore his father's old necklace. Around his wrist a band of Valdris gold that marked him as a member of the royal family. Harin and Daun came to escort him. Both wore beautiful gowns and jewelry. Both had tears in their eyes. "You look handsome," Daun said. "Scared but handsome," Harin added with a teasing smile. "Is it that obvious?" "Only to us," Daun assured him. "To everyone else, you look confident." They walked through the palace to the bonding hall, a massive room with a domed ceiling painted with stars. Thousands of guests filled the space. The ceremony would also be broadcast across all 40 star systems. Taehyun took his place at the altar. The chief elder stood ready to perform the ceremony. Musicians played traditional Valdris instruments, their sounds hauntingly beautiful. Then everyone stood as the Empress entered. Yujin looked radiant. She wore robes of silver and purple that seemed to shimmer with light. Her silver hair was styled with gems that sparkled like stars. But what took Taehyun's breath away was her smile. It was full of pure joy. She walked toward him not with the measured steps of an empress, but with the eager pace of a woman in love. When she reached him, she took his hands. "You are beautiful," he whispered. "So are you," she whispered back. The chief elder began the ceremony. It was long and filled with ancient rituals. Taehyun and Yujin exchanged vows in both Valdris and human languages. They promised to support each other, to rule with wisdom and compassion, to face all challenges together. When it came time to exchange bonding rings, Taehyun slipped a band onto Yujin's finger. It was made from metal from both Earth and Valdris Prime, symbolizing their union of two worlds. She did the same for him, her hands shaking slightly with emotion. The chief elder raised her hands. "By the ancient laws and the power vested in me, I declare you bonded. Taehyun and Yujin are now partners, equals and bonded for life. May your union bring strength to the Empire and joy to your hearts." The crowd erupted in cheers. Taehyun and Yujin kissed and the cheers grew louder. Harin and Daun rushed forward to embrace them both, crying and laughing at the same time. The celebration that followed lasted 3 days. There were feasts, performances, and ceremonies. Taehyun met so many people his head spun, but through it all, Yujin was by his side, her hand in his. On the third night, when the formal celebrations finally ended, Taehyun and Yujin retreated to their private quarters. They were now bonded, which meant they shared the Empress's personal chambers. Yujin collapsed onto a couch with a sigh. Finally, "I love my people, but I needed this to be over." Taehyun sat beside her. "It was beautiful, though. It was perfect. But now the real work begins." "What do you mean?" She sat up and looked at him seriously. "We need to talk about your role in the Empire. You are not just my consort. You will be my partner in ruling. I want your input on major decisions. I want you to lead initiatives you care about. What do you want to focus on?" Taehyun had been thinking about this. "Education and opportunity. I want to create programs that help people from all backgrounds rise on merit. I want to break down the barriers between classes and species. If we truly believe in merit over birth, we need to prove it. Yujin smiled. I love that. You will need staff resources and authority. You will also face opposition. I am ready for it. I know you are. She kissed him softly. We are going to change this empire for the better. Together. The following months proved challenging but rewarding. Taehyun launched his education initiative, creating scholarships and training programs for promising individuals regardless of their background. Some nobles resisted, but the Empress backed him completely. He also helped reform certain outdated laws. With Yujin's support, they passed new regulations that gave colonies more local autonomy while maintaining imperial unity. They reformed the tax system to be more fair. They created new channels for people to voice grievances without resorting to rebellion. Not all changes were popular. Some traditionalists accused them of weakening the empire, but the results spoke for themselves. Loyalty increased. Economic growth accelerated. New voices brought fresh ideas. Harin became Taehyun's student in combat, learning his human techniques to complement her Valdris training. She became even more formidable, eventually defeating Bo-Ra in a friendly match. Da-eun completed her thesis on comparative cultures, using Taehyun's stories extensively. It became a bestseller across the empire, helping people understand humans better. 6 months after the bonding, Taehyun stood in his old quarters, which had been left unchanged as a memorial to his past. His ship, the Wanderer, sat in a special hangar maintained but unused. Yujin found him there. Thinking about the old days? Sometimes. I was so alone then, so focused on avoiding attachment. If you had told me I would end up bonded to an Empress, I would have thought you were crazy. Do you miss it? The freedom? The simplicity? Sometimes, he admitted. But I do not regret this. I traded loneliness for love, aimlessness for purpose. That is a good trade. She hugged him from behind. You can still fly, you know. We can take the Wanderer out sometimes, just the two of us. Escape the palace for a few days. I would like that. Me too. I married you, not just the idea of you. I want you to stay yourself always. They returned to the main palace together. That evening, they had dinner with Harin and Da-eun, now a regular tradition. They laughed and talked about everything and nothing. It felt natural, comfortable, like family. 1 year after the bonding, Taehyun stood on the balcony of the imperial palace overlooking the capital city. Yujin joined him as she often did. They stood together, his arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder. Do you ever regret it? She asked. Giving up your quiet life for all this? Every day, he said, then smiled at her startled expression. I am joking. No, I do not regret it. This is harder than my old life, but it is better. I have you. I have Harin and Da-eun. I have purpose and meaning. What more could I want? You gave me so much too, Yujin said. You taught me to rule with heart as well as head. You showed me that strength can be gentle. You reminded me that love is worth the risk. We make a good team. The best team. They watched the sun set over the ocean, painting the sky in brilliant colors. The city below sparkled with lights as evening came. Somewhere out there, people were living their lives, building their futures, dreaming their dreams. Taehyun thought about his journey. He had come to the asteroid belt seeking solitude after tragedy. Instead, he found danger, adventure, and love. He saved 2 princesses and won the heart of an empress. He went